What's up, guys? Hope everyone's having a great weekend so far. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the stream. Tonight's probably not going to be a long stream, so I want to walk through kind of the things that I'm going to be watching going into the week of June 5th. And then from there, I'd like to give you guys an opportunity to maybe show some charts or bring up some ideas that you maybe see for some actionable setups. And then we can take it from there. And yeah, that's going to be my plan going into the week or the Sunday scam. So let's go ahead and jump into it. For me, the one thing that's on top of mind for me that I'm thinking about is sector rotation. Right? We talk about the fact that we have seen a massive what I'll call bull run with strength in tech names specifically. 2023 hasn't really been the year of the financial sector, but the tech sector has been doing very well. So what we talk about is if we want the overall market to be in a bull run or bull cycle, what we want to see is actual rotation into other sectors of the market. And one that I am watching that has obviously broken out in a big way on the daily is IWM, right? The Russell 2000 or small caps, aka small caps. Russell 2000, basically small caps, right? So what I'm looking at now on the Russell 2000 is going to be a pretty big move up, probably to around, if I had to guess here, if we put a horizontal line up here, what I'd be looking for is probably a move up to the 185.79, 186 area on IWM, and then above that, really looking for that 188, 190 spot. Above 190, then I'm looking at that 193 spot, and then obviously I think we run up to that 200 spot potentially and test 200. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we did see a massive breakout on the daily time frame. We talk a lot about price consolidation leading to range expansion, and this was on pure showcase for us, dating all the way back to probably about mid-March. We were stuck in between 170 and 180. 170 and 179.64 basically, right? So $9 worth of range. We broke out in a big way with massive volume on Friday, and so now I think we have some clear skies up to at least 185. We'll have to see if we reject there and head back down to 179 in base to push up for more, or if we just gap and continue to go grind all the way up to that 193, 200 spot. So that's what I'll be watching on IWM. Just wanted to point it out because I think as we talk about, kind of the overall market getting into a bull cycle, bull market, we need to see sector rotation. Tech cannot be the only thing that carries the entire market all the way up to all-time highs or at least back up near that all-time high area. We're going to have to see other sectors start to perform. I think the Russell 2000 is one that broke out in a massive way, which is really great to see. And we'll talk about some other sector rotations, specifically in airlines, that we're kind of seeing as well. So that is IWM, just something to take note of. I think we can see some momentum to the upside. If we are seeing potentially some chop happening in a name like SPY, IWM is a great name to play, right? Because here's what happened on IWM on the 5-minute, and I just want to show this to you guys to show you kind of how you can play it and what you can look for, right? We had a level identified at 179.64. Maybe we look at the 15-minute and see what this looks like. Yeah, much cleaner on the 15. Let me get rid of the consolidation box that we had. But on the 15-minute chart, we can play IWM much like we would play a name like SPY or QQQ. It is an index. It's the Russell 2000. There are 0 DTEs on this name if you like playing 0 DTEs, but it is an index that you can play, that you can trade. We had a tweezer bottom on the 15-minute on Friday, made our way all the way up, and what happened? We flagged right back into a key level and actually hammered off of that key level at about noon on Friday at 12 o'clock. Got a hammer, and then we pushed all the way up, right, all the way down from this 179.64, pushed all the way up to 181.37. Those 0 days probably made a really nice move right there. So just want to let you guys know too that if SPY is starting to chop, the Russell 2000 is a name that on the 5-minute, if we're starting to trend, you could play that and play a nice trend to the upside or to the downside, just depending on what happens. But IWM does offer a really nice trading vehicle. The contracts are relatively cheap, so if you guys are looking to play a name with some volatility like SPY or QQQ, IWM contracts are notably cheaper than SPY and QQQ. So for those of you that have smaller accounts, IWM could be an index that you could play. And typically we do see smooth moves on IWM throughout the week, much like we see smooth moves on QQQ or SPY throughout the week as well. Okay, now as we're talking about sector rotation, one of the things that I want to talk about is going to be jets, right? This is the ETF for all of the airlines, and this is a potential for a breakout here on Jets at a key level, right? So if we let's put a line here at our key level, right? We have a potential to break out of Jets here, and so what I see on Jets specifically is another price consolidation leads to range expansion type of play, right? This is kind of what we have here. We could probably eliminate that. That's an outlier candle down here, right? But basically, we've been trading between 1734 and 1884, basically is what we'll call that, right? So about $1.30 worth of range on Jets. This is a name that could break out. And if you look at individual airlines, we've seen a lot of bullish call flow coming into the individual airlines, and so we could see a potential breakout on Jets, which would be accretive to all those individual names like Southwest, like American, like Delta, like United. On the airlines, even JetBlue is a name that could be potential for a breakout here. But when we look at a name like Southwest, this is a name on the daily where we've got a pretty substantial daily trend line here that's in place, right? If we take this, sorry, let me see if I can get this guy. If we take this all the way up here, right? Like this is a name that, we've pretty much been trending. I don't want to, we've got like a little bit of an outlier here. We gapped up and then we fell back down, right? But we've got 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3 rejection, 4, 5, 6. If we break out of this little daily consolidation here, I could see us trading back up in and around this area, right? Basically where we were at over here. I could see us moving back up into the low 30s, anywhere between 32 to 33 from this $30 level. Now over this level, this is where I see us potentially moving all the way up, and we could trade back up in here. Different levels, 33 to 34. We could also trade back up in here, probably 37 to 35. So those are upside levels that I'm looking at on a stock. Love Southwest. But if you look at all of the other names as well, something like American Airlines, we're coming up to a very big key level in a breakout spot, right? This is a spot that once we broke out of before, we actually went all the way up to 17, and we're currently sitting at 15. So I've got this on watch. I actually mentioned this, I think it was last week in pre-market huddle, American Airlines, as we were coming back up to this 1508 spot. So I've got it purple on my chart because this is a massive spot, right? 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3, 4, 5, 6 rejections on American Airlines. So when we get up over this when we get up over this level, I do expect us to trade back at this level here at 1546. The reason it's at 1546 is because last time we got up over 1508, we made a move up to 1546, we rejected it, and then we gapped up and we went up to the next level and held this next level at 1588. So we've got levels to the upside that we can play. They traded very well to the downside. They traded well to the upside. And so I'm looking for a breakout over 1508 on American Airlines. Again, if Jets starts to take off, I think we're going to see sector rotation. We're going to see money flow back into airlines. It fits the theme, right? We're in the summer months. People are traveling more. The demand is there. I think that we could see a really nice couple of months here for the airlines. So this makes sense for us to maybe look at the potential to swing some of these names on 1 month, 2 month out contracts, right? We could take end of June, we could take end of July contracts and kind of swing them during the summer months because I think we see a sector rotation back in to the travel sector in the airlines specifically. Now, I haven't looked at some of these other names at Delta. Let's take a look at Delta and see what Delta looks like. Delta is coming back up here to a key level as well. Actually looks like it maybe broke this key level if we put a horizontal line kind of on that spot. Maybe not, right? Maybe about right here is where I'll probably put that. It's a little choppy back in here, but Delta looks good if we can break over 37. And we actually closed at 37.01. We held there in after hours, so Delta could be a gap and go type of play. UAL's United Airlines, this is another one. It looks accretive. We've seen some movement off the bottom on United Airlines, right? And we see some potential. Let me fix this. We see some potential trend here, right? Trending up on this name. Over at 47.45 now. I think we could see that 50 level come pretty soon up here, probably right around this area, right? $49.60, $50 range there. But UAL looks good, and then JetBlue is another one. Let's look at JetBlue. Yeah, JetBlue looks good, right? So JetBlue's a name here. This is another interesting name. Like this is one that's been trading. We talk about price consolidation leads to range expansion. Well, here's one right here, right? We've basically been trading between 672 and 730. And I think when we break this range, we could see a really nice move back up into the mid eights or $8 here on JetBlue. So I will be watching JetBlue for a potential move up. I think when we break out of this, the first stop up I'll be looking at is probably up and around here, right? 764 up into the, probably put a level right up in here. Right up in here, probably in that $8 range, right? So at least $1 of upside here, it's a pretty big move when the stock's trading at $7 a share right now. That's a pretty big spot, right? A 20% move on this move up here, 18%, 20% move. So JetBlue is another one that I will be watching as well. Just keep this on watch, guys. We could see some rotation back into the airline industry, especially looking at some of these names and what they're doing. So that's kind of what I will be watching. Now, on top of this, real quick, I want to talk about some names. Again, this will probably be a pretty quick Sunday scan because there's not really much to talk about for outside of that sector rotation that I was kind of mentioning to you guys. But Apple, guys, this is kind of what we've been talking about. Look at the rip that Apple has been on. We've ripped, we've consolidated, we've ripped. At some point, Apple is probably going to consolidate near all-time highs. It might be this week. We might get a 2-week period where we kind of consolidate up here into the all-time high before we bounce up into that 200 spot. Now, we did see some 190, 200 calls come in for the end of June. So we could get, a 2-week consolidation, and then we could bounce up towards the end of June. Last two weeks in June, we could bounce up into that 200, 210 spot on Apple. But like I said before, guys, I've been calling for this for a while. We looked at how we reacted on Apple in the prior weeks when we came up to these levels. We rejected that level. We rejected this level. But if we put a line here, the last 2 weeks, we actually held that level on Apple, right? I don't know if you're going to be able to tell here, but if we look specifically at this level right here, let me make this line a little bit thicker and let's color this guy purple, right? So we rejected, and then the 2 weeks prior to last week, we got candle closes over that level. They tried to wick us down. The candles closed right back over, and we held that level on the weekly time frame. And then last week, we got that massive explosion up to all-time highs, which was awesome to see. Really cool to trade it. So that's Apple, and that's what I'm looking at on Apple. Now, if we look at a name like QQQ, let's turn off those drawings and go back to QQQ on the weekly time frame. Again, tech has been the story in all of 2023. Right? We see the move up on tech, we see it consolidate, and then we see us push back up. We're now trading in the mid 350s on QQQ. I think if we get a candle close on the weekly over 360, that's going to be accretive for a move back up to at least the 376 area. Now, over 376, I think we go back up and we grab all-time highs on QQQ. So for me, the weekly spots are going to be 360, 376, 400 on QQQ. Now, when we look at SPY, what I'm going to be looking at on SPY here, again, this is pretty bullish. This is it's interesting to me, right? Because we're starting to see some bullish momentum on SPY, which is accretive for more upside for the whole entire market, because SPY is not just concentrated in tech. It's not just QQQ that is all tech. It's not just IWM, which is the Russell 2000, which is all small caps, right? This is a lot of different sectors that are going into SPY, into the S&P 500, and we got a weekly candle close over that prior week pivot at 422. So the next spot up that I really see on SPY that we're going to have to get over is probably going to be the 430 spot. Over 430, that's where I think we get that 440 to 443 spot, 440 to 445. Over 445, that's where I think we see that 460 all-time high area on SPY. But we did close up at 428 in the after-hour session. We did get a weekly high at 428.74. So will be interesting to see how we react around the 430 spot on SPY. So let's see how we react there. But I just wanted to give you guys some thoughts on SPY, what I'm looking at on SPY, what I'm thinking on SPY. The other rotation that I want to take a look at that I think we could see some rotation into is going to be the growth sector, right? We're starting to see a little bit of rebound off the growth sector. Now, this is Roblox here. So this is a name that has double bottomed at that $25 spot on the weekly time frame. On the daily time frame, we are starting to see a little bit of a move up here. I'm interested to see if we can get up over this pivot on the daily time frame on Roblox. Sorry. The daily pivot for me is really going to be around that $42 level. I think if we get over 42 on the daily and we get a close over 42, we could potentially come up and fill this gap up into the $45 area. But we did see a pretty big sell on Friday on Roblox. You guys saw Friday. Money kind of fell out of growth, but I'm still thinking that we're going to see a big rotation into growth in a big way. We've already seen a name like Upstart, with the levels that we have here. We've seen it, right? We've seen the strength in UPST. We've seen the absolute dominance on a name like UPST, which, by the way, on Friday held that 29.12 level that we have, and I think we're going to see 35 plus on UPST pretty soon. I just think that that's where we're going to see. We're going to come back up and test this area. I don't know that we're going to make our way all the way back up here to that 54 spot, but I do think we're going to see some pretty nice moves on UPST. It does seem like they're still trying to come after these names that have a high short interest that are growth names. Now, if we look at Affirm, we've talked about Affirm last week, right? We talked about the bull flag that was under a resistance level, that 1464. Here's our bull flag, right? Here's our pull. Here's our flag. Here's our breakout. We did make our way up to 1588. We did miss, the level that I have at 1611 by a little bit. But that is the spot, right? That's the next spot that I'd be looking at. Did we hit? I wonder what the low on this candle is. Low is 1595. If I move this down to the low of that candle at 1595, right? We basically missed this by a couple pennies. So we basically came up and tagged this level, right? Where this daily bottom was here on this candle, that February 8th, 2023, we kind of hit this area. So over this spot, I do see 1771, and then I see our move up into that $22 area on Affirm. This could be a nice swing trade, on growth if we think that we're going to see growth continue to the upside. Could be a really nice trade for us to the upside. So just looking at that, just thinking about that, just making sure you guys are keeping that on watch. I always say keep some of these names on watch. And as always, guys, with growth, if growth is going to go, Bitcoin is going to go with it. Bitcoin is actually consolidating and holding value on the daily time frame, kind of right here around this area. We didn't drop back down to that 25K spot. I think if we can get over 27.1 and push up back towards that 28.5 spot, then we're going to see some names like Riot. We're going to see some names like Mara. We're going to see some names like Coin. Riot got a pretty nasty rejection on Friday. I think Mara probably ended up the same way. I didn't look at Mara, so I'm not really entirely sure if it did. Yeah, not as nasty of a rejection, but we did break out of that wedge, right? We got this daily wedge. We did break out of it. So again, looking for that move up to 13. And then Coin, not sure. I know Coin was selling a little bit, but Coin actually rebounded. What did it do on the 15-minute? Yeah, so we sold, popped back up. Pretty uneventful day on Coin on Friday. But if you look at this candle, right, what happened was that we actually got out of this consolidation pattern that we were in. Right, so we got out of the consolidation, we back tested it, and now we could potentially go up to 70 on Coin. Over 70, then we make that move back up to the $80 to $85 area on Coin. So that's kind of what I'm watching, guys. Just wanted to give you my thoughts on what I see, what I like, what we're looking at going into the week. That sector rotation is going to be big. Maybe looking at some IWM names, some IWM trades. Really nice candle on SPY for a potential move up into that 430 spot. I could see a gap up tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But now for the next 15 minutes or so, I want to pass it over to you guys to give some charts that we could maybe look at for some actionable setups. And then hopefully we are out of here by about 9:30. Like I said at the beginning, it's going to be a pretty quick Sunday scan. Not much for me to talk about as far as actionable setups. More so sector rotation is what I wanted to kind of focus on this week on this scan. So any charts you guys got, go ahead and drop them in down here, and we can take a look at them as they come through. ZOM, LC Universal. Let's take a look at ZOM. Yeah, so ZOM has been a good one, right, on the daily. This is one that we played out of this consolidation pattern. We played it down here. So now what's setting up on ZOM, in my eyes, is potentially, the potential for us to see a daily breakout over this level, right? So if we put this guy down here, There we go. So this is what I'd be looking at on ZOM, right? Potential for a daily breakout. 1 rejection, 2 rejection, almost try to get out there, 3 rejection, 4 rejection. Over this spot, right, you know, I think we could see a potential move up back to that 108 spot on XOM for a potential, for a daily breakout, and then ultimately back up to that stretch target of that 113.26 area. So that's ZOM. That's what I see on ZOM. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix, interesting on Netflix, right? Because on the daily time frame, we broke it out of a few wedges. Right now on Netflix, you know, I think we're going to have to see a little bit of consolidation before we see that move up. Netflix likes to wedge and go, right? If we look at the prior, what happens, right? Like here's an example too. Range expansion or range consolidation leading to price consolidation leading to range expansion, price consolidation leading to range expansion, price consolidation leading to range expansion. I think we need to see some price consolidation on Netflix because when it starts to consolidate, it moves really well after the consolidation. So for me on Netflix, 413 is that big level to the upside. But after hours, we're kind of hanging around that 400 spot. I'd like to see some more consolidation. You know, ideally what we would see on Netflix is kind of something like this setup where we get some type of consolidation, you know, something like this where we kind of consolidate in here and then we break out of there. I'm going to leave this on here to see if this kind of works out, if we get some type of pattern here that we can play. But that's what I'd be looking for on Netflix is kind of that consolidation and then break out and go on Netflix. Carvana, inside bar on the daily. To be honest, I don't like to trade Carvana that much because the options are usually kind of crazy. But we did hold on the daily. We held that 1022 spot. We broke out here and we made that move up. We did get an inside bar on the daily, so we could see a pretty big move up on Carvana back to that $19 spot all the way up here, potentially in that 1938, 1940 spot. I don't know if we'll see that, but let's go ahead and put a level on here because that is a big spot on the daily time frame. So let's put that there. 1950 on Carvana, that would be the upside target. But again, the IV is usually a little bit crazy on Carvana, so I don't trade it as much. But that's what I see. I do see that inside bar, so we could see a pretty explosive move if we get up over the prior day high there at 1696 on Carvana. Qualcomm kind of broke out, right? Like kind of broke out here. I don't see an actual setup in my eyes on Qualcomm, Yared. You know, what I'd kind of be looking at is a little more, you know, I'd look to see if we could hold value here at 112.80. We got 1, 2, 3 holds at 112.80 and then we pushed up. So I do see the next level up on Qualcomm, probably up here and around that 125 spot if we do make our way up. I think we could see a pretty big move up on Qualcomm from where we're at now. You know, at least another $15, $10 to $15 to the upside on Qualcomm. RIG, I think we looked at RIG last week. I don't trade RIG, but it did break out on the daily. So this is a name that we charted last week on Sunday Scan. It did break out on the daily here. We got that breakout. So I'd be looking for that move back up here, which will to about $7.13 and then $7.65 on RIG. That's what I'd be looking at. Tesla, JP. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's been really, really strong. Yeah, so Tesla, man. Tesla looks great. Sorry for all these levels, but let's do this. Let's do a screenshot because it's hard for me to do that when... yeah, here we go. Let's look at Tesla, right? So Tesla, let's put this guy out here. Tesla looks very, 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 very strong. Right? Price consolidation leading to range expansion on Tesla. Looking for a move up to 235, right? And the reason I say 235 is because if we put a line up here kind of where we had that prior resistance, it's right about 235, and the stretch goal for me is going to be if we get up over this spot here at like call it 215, over 215, I think we see that move, which we did get over 215, but we get that daily spot over 215, I think we make that move to 235, and potentially 250s could see some activity this week on Tesla going into Friday. 5 days, I think we could see a nice move up on Tesla. So I would be looking here. We got the range consolidation. Now we're getting the range expansion, and I'd look for that expansion to take us all the way to 235 on Tesla. Once we get to 235, we can look and see how we react. But if we get up over 235, then I'd be looking for that 250 to 255 spot on Tesla. Wells Fargo, which let's take a look at Wells Fargo. Interesting name here. If I look at Wells Fargo, kind of see what it's doing, potentially, right? We got a breakout on the daily time frame. Potentially. That is a potential breakout pattern there. Not my favorite pattern. Not perfect by any means. Not something that I totally like to see. But it is the potential for a breakout pattern, or what we could be seeing is something like this setting up, right? Where we're getting a horizontal line here. We're getting a trend up. So, however you want to play this, I think the safer way to play this is probably going to be a move up over 42. A move over 42 probably sends us back into that mid 40s section all the way up to like 45. Over 45, then I think we get that 48, 47 area. But that's kind of what I'd be watching on Wells Fargo to see that this trend's going to hold, see if we hold value, and if we hold value, continue to push up on this name all the way up over 42. So that's what I'll be looking at on Wells Fargo. Let's take a look at just a few more here. Nox, N-N-O-X, NanoX Imaging. Haven't heard of this one in a while. This is a name that I don't know too much about. Looks like they did have some news that kind of came out. I have to look and see what's going on with NanoX. Haven't traded this name before, but it is flagging kind of on the weekly time frame. So we could see a nice move up here on this name over 21.84. I think we could see a move back up into that $32 area. So I'm going to do some research on NanoX Imaging and see what they got going on. Remember, this was a big name during COVID. I actually traded during the COVID market. So I'm going to take a look at this, but I don't, actionable setups for me. I mean, it's a bull flag on the weekly. So if they've got some good news coming out, we could swing some leaps here long. But I'll do some research on this Witchell and see what it looks like. Tag me in the Discord as well on this one, because I kind of like the way this looks. If this, runs back, I mean, this thing's got room. You guys can see what this thing has done in the past, and the volume is something to note there on the weekly. That's massive volume on a weekly time frame. So definitely NanoX Imaging is one to keep an eye out on, because where we rejected on the weekly is, a support line, support, broke support, fell all the way down. So if we get over this, I think that's where we potentially could make that move back up on the weekly time frame, back to 26 or even up here to 32. So I'll be looking at that. Bud, I don't really like Bud too much, so I'm not gonna chart that one. We've charted that one in the past a little bit. HD, just consolidating on the weekly, guys. Once we break this daily consolidation, weekly consolidation, we can pull this out a little bit more. Once we break that, we're going to see a pretty nice move on HD. Until that breaks, I'm hands off on HD. I don't want to touch it until we get over 301 or until we break down under 280. So that's what I'll be watching on HD. Mara, agree with you, Sunil. Watching that. BA is one. We talked about airlines when we first started, but you guys see here on the daily, we've got that daily breakout on BA. We broke out once, we came back down, tested the trend line, now we're pushing back up. BA's just been on an absolute ripper. I tweeted about this one. This is a name, guys, that we're getting a massive bull flag in 2023. We're in 2023 has been nothing but consolidation for BA between 190, about 193 and 218, guys. So we've been stuck between $25 in all of 2023 on a name like BA, so a 10% range on BA. So it's going to be huge. Costco, guys. Andre, Costco is one that we've been playing. It's ready as well. Not much to say on Costco. This is one that's going to go. In my opinion, I think it's ready. We haven't seen one coiled like this on the weekly time frame, and we haven't seen a weekly coil like this on Costco in the history of the chart. So I think we see that move back up into that 535 spot, back up into 550 on Costco. Let's take a look at NanoX had FDA approval. Okay, I was waiting for that FDA approval when I was trading it during COVID. Let's look at Oxy real quick, guys. Oxy, let's look at the daily. What do we got on the daily? We got anything interesting happening on the daily? Yeah, we'd have a little bit of a daily breakout here on Oxy. If we look at this, we could see we did get a breakout here. 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3 rejection, breakout on the daily. We could see that move up on Oxy now. I would be looking for that 60, probably 60 level, and then back up here into the 63 area, and then above 63, I'd be looking for 66 on Oxy. So that's what I'd be looking at on Oxy. Yeah, Robert, we're going to look at IWM and pre-market, see what's going on here. We talked about Apple pockets. If you guys are late, make sure you go back and look at the beginning. Absolutely, Brent. Absolutely. Let's look at Walmart as our last one here, guys. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty quick Sunday scan. Was going to keep it about 30 minutes this week because more so sector rotation, more so talk about tech and what's kind of going on there. Walmart's interesting. You know, I don't know that I see just off the top of my head something, you know, I guess we got a daily breakout here on Walmart. So, you know, over a key level, could see that move back up on Walmart to 150 and then back up, I'd say around that 153 spot. Let's see. Yeah, no, I don't see anything here at Walmart. The only thing I see there is probably just that daily breakout level. All right, I don't like to, typically, guys, just so you know, like I like to have 3 points of contact. 1, 2, I'd like to have one more on a trend line. Sometimes it's not necessary. It just makes me feel a little bit better when I have 3 points of trend on there. So yeah, that's what I see on Walmart. I see a daily breakout and I see a move back potentially to that 155 spot, maybe 160. And like, you know, if Costco's going to go, if retail's going to go, TGT actually caught a bounce finally. Target caught a bounce down here. Saw some big volume step in. I told you guys the mid 120s was probably going to be a spot that TGT bounces. Well, we bounced at 126 all the way back up to 133, and everybody wanted to short TGT from 120, you know, 125 all the way back down to, you know, 100, sub 100. So if retail's catching a bid, which Target finally is starting to catch that bid, I think Walmart maybe sees a bid too and pushes back up into that 160, you know, 155 and then 160 spot above. Yes, I did show my SPY levels earlier, so if you guys go look at SPY, you'll be able to see my SPY levels that I have. I'll flash them one more time for you guys, but that's about all I've got for you guys. Up above, we have to create some new levels above on SPY, which I will do for you guys prior to the pre-market huddle tomorrow. I'll have new SPY levels for you. Sorry, I know that hurts your eyes because there's a lot of levels there. But I will have new SPY levels for you guys in the pre-market huddle. We'll talk about those tomorrow. I'm going to have some actionable setups that we can have tomorrow morning. There's going to be some undoubtedly in tech. There's going to be some in growth that we've talked about tonight. And then there's going to be some in the airlines that we'll talk about as well going into the week. So hopefully this Sunday scan helps you guys think about the way, or at least visualize the market in the way I kind of think about it, what I'm looking for from a sector rotation perspective, what I'm looking for as far as opportunities go. This was a relatively quick Sunday scan. I will be available this evening. So if you guys have any questions about charts, drop them in the watch list channel, drop them in Wall Street, let me know. We'll go over them. But again, kind of what I said in the beginning, I wanted this to be a quicker Sunday scan this week. But that doesn't mean that I'm going anywhere. I'm going to be here. Just wanted it to be kind of, let's get on, let's talk about sector rotation. Let's focus on a few names, the airline, growth, a couple tech names specifically. And that's about it from what I'm watching, right? I mentioned Costco, BA, Apple, all of them are ready to go. It's just going to be a matter of time of when they go. But I think Costco's ready. BA, we could be trading in the mid 200s on BA in the next couple weeks. That's what I'll be watching. So hopefully this helped you guys. If you have any questions on anything, drop them in watch list, drop them in Wall Street. We will go over them. We will cover them. Anything you guys need, just let me know. I'm here to help you guys. So drop charts, drop questions you have on the charts. I'll reply back to them what I see, what I like, what I don't like, that type of thing. Let's keep grinding it out. Let's have a great second week of June together, guys. And can't wait to get after it tomorrow. I'll see you in pre-market huddle, or I will see you in the room if you have any questions on some of those charts that we just looked at, or any charts that you guys have that you want me to look at for you. I'll gladly look at those this evening for you. So I'll talk to you guys soon, and peace out.